Welcome back to Big Mouth. Yes, I am waving my finger at this episode of Doctor Who. I'm wagging my finger at this season of Doctor Who that is just like a box of fresh air. By the time you get to the end of it, it's like you've experienced absolutely nothing. So fancy seeing you all here. It's just finished and I'm recording this review. I might do another one when I've got more time, but I thought I'd talk about it while my mind was still fresh. And I want you all to remember that it was a very hard time for women. And if you didn't remember that, the Doctor thought she'd remind you of that about 6 more times. And, you know, as soon as King James... You know what? It's another situation again of an episode starting okay, but when King James turns up, the tone changes, and it's a different episode then. You know, the performance of King James was fantastic, but he started being very kind of sexist, didn't he? And this is what they do. This is what these people do. They contrive a sexist situation so they can complain about it. So, because the Doctor's a female, it's a great opportunity. And of course, a female wrote this episode. So it was all about, yes, let's talk about sexism in a time when men didn't know any better. They didn't have anyone to tell them. They were kind of the front runners and they underestimated women. But let's have a go at people in the 17th century because they didn't know bloody better. Absolutely pathetic. This was a mixture of kind of an episode of Robin Hood and The Walking Dead. Because literally, that's what those people were, zombies. I know they were aliens taking over the bodies and everything. That's what they were. And as usual with Season 11, as the episode goes on, it gets less and less interesting. Again, Sagon's music, amazing. It gave that... It's the only thing that made the episode interesting again, because it kind of makes... It gives you this uncomfortable feel, which I really liked. But as an episode of Doctor Who, again, it didn't compel me. It didn't drag me. And this Doctor is still very problematic to me. For me, she's still useless. Even the easy way she solves the problem, very simplistic. And at least, I suppose, they gave Yaz something to do. But in reality, it's just another waste of a Doctor Who fan's time. Because you look at it and you sit there and you think, right, it's Doctor Who Day. I still get excited when I wake up in the morning. Maybe this will be the episode that thrills me, that excites me. But no, that's not what it is. That's not what's going on here. It's just more of the same virtue signalling. How many lectures did the Doctor give about how, lecturing King James, and that was just for starters, and then lecturing Becca as well. Becca was just an odd character, really. I suppose it was a neat little twist, her being infected from the beginning, but at the end of the day, right, I saw the trailer last week at the end of last week's episode, and it was like, this looks interesting. I said it, didn't I? I said, The Witchfinders looks interesting. Maybe this is the episode that's going to thrill me. But it just did more of the same things, which, as I say, begins with, yes, this could be good. And then it's very quickly much ado about nothing. So I suppose the Doctor was doing a lot more than she normally does in this episode when she says, don't interfere, and she does. That's interesting. When it starts and she goes to the apples and she's all jovial and then she kind of starts to realise what's going on. I liked that, and I liked Jodie Whittaker's performance when she was doing that. But for me, she still isn't the Doctor. Now, this is not a new thing for me. It takes me ages to get used to a Doctor. Maybe next year she will be the Doctor for me. I don't know. But these episodes, and I've said this before, ever since episode 4, it's just, as I say, fresh air. Much ado about nothing. It's an empty story. It's another empty story. I think doing an episode set in the 17th century where they kill women accused of witchcraft is a very interesting concept. I just don't think they know how to make an episode that has an interesting concept interesting. And I think that is the real problem here. They're going at the wrong things. They're so obsessed with lecturing the audience. They really don't. Again, it's this mentality and this agenda right now where it's all about shouting out a message. And RTD did it as well, obviously. You know, the Doctor would give lectures in the RTD era and the Moffat era, but it was done a lot more cleverly. With this, right, Chris Chibnall's got this big sledgehammer, right, and he's going whack, whack, whack. Can you feel that? You can't feel that yet. So he gets the sledgehammer again, and he goes whack. I bet you felt that. Yeah, I've got a headache now, Chris. And that's the situation, and that's the problem here. So it distracts you from what they're trying to do because they get distracted. The actual stories are moving away from the stories, and they're just trying to lecture the audience. I'm trying to think of something I liked in this episode apart from the music. And again, and this is typical of season 11, it's not that it's so terrible or so awful. It's just very dull. It's very uninteresting. And you are kind of thinking, is it time for it to finish yet? You're going to say to me, why are you watching it, Mick? Why are you watching it? Well, I'm watching it from brand loyalty, as I keep on telling you guys. I have to watch Doctor Who. I mean, I've been a fan of this show for so long, but I'm just wondering what people who like this, and I don't know I don't come from their point of view, what are you getting out of this? Because it's not particularly interesting. It's not particularly exciting. Apart from the music, it doesn't really work as a series of Doctor Who. Listen, I think everyone should be really frustrated with what Chibnall's done here. They cast a female Doctor. They had an opportunity to make the first female Doctor so epic, so fantastic, so interesting, and they haven't done that. And this is my issue with it as well. We know Jodie can act. We know Chris Chibnall can write. So what's gone wrong? Do we have to start accepting that this is the BBC and they're directing him what to do? Because we're hearing the rumours. By the way, if I could just address what I spoke about a few days back about the rumour about Chris and Jodie leaving in the 6 episodes, I'm hearing something a bit different now. I'm hearing that they're not leaving, but the 6 episodes are true. Now, it was kind of leaked that he didn't want to make 10 episodes. It was too much for him. Jodie's got her family. Do not listen to all that. That's the BBC throwing Chris and Jodie under the bus. It's the BBC have been reducing these episodes for about 3 or 4 years now. We started with 13. Then we went to 12. This season it's 10. And surprise, surprise, guess what? Next season, most probably, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be 6 episodes. Hang on a minute. I've got to do something. Right. Sorry about that. But I needed to get my BVS kind of thing back because I can't talk without it. Bit nuts. You won't find this on any other YouTube channel. Good, isn't it? How would I rate this episode? It's difficult for me, really. I mean, production values are beautiful. It looks great. The music's fantastic. Listen, I think it's a 5 out of 10 episode because the acting is fabulous, the music's fabulous, but the episode is so dull and so uninteresting. It's like when you see the reveal of the kind of zombie creatures, you think, oh, this is cool. What are they going to do with this? And then after 5 or 10 minutes, you realise they're not going to do very much at all. I don't know how to describe. I don't know if it's been done on purpose. It's not that this is so totally awful. It's just not totally good. It's just there. It's not memorable. It's going to be really hard for anyone who's pre-ordered the season to go back and watch this season. I mean, people who are loving it obviously will. But for me, who's already pre-ordered the Blu-ray, the Steelbook, So I'm spending a lot of money, and I've pre-ordered the season. Not pre-ordered it. I get an episode on Amazon Prime Video every week. It's the only way I can watch it here in Cyprus. So I'm spending a lot of money on season 11, and it's money I shouldn't be spending. But as a Doctor Who fan, I want to see the episodes, right? And it's a shame. It's an opportunity missed. It was an opportunity with Chris Chibnall coming in, someone who created something really special with Broadchurch season 1, and it's all gone by the wayside. This is sad. This is frustrating for me. And it's all very well people accusing people like me who do not like season 11, who are not convinced by Jodie's Doctor, to call me names. You can call me a sexist if you want. Listen, I don't judge myself on what I am. It's up to people what they think. If you think I'm a misogynist or a sexist, then that's what I am. I don't think I am, but that I'm biased, aren't I? That's up to you what you think. But I've told you how I feel about Doctor Who. I've told you how I feel about Jodie. I've told you how I feel about Chris Chibnall's leadership of this season. And as a creative myself, and someone who takes criticism himself and accepts it and tries to do better and take heed of the criticism, because the audience are really important. But unfortunately, in terms of the BBC, in terms of Doctor Who, they're not going to take a blind piece of notice. They're just going to dismiss us as a bunch of misogynists and sexists. But what are you going to say to the hundreds of thousands of female fans who are as disappointed as we are? Are they sexists? Are they misogynists? Didn't they want a female Doctor? Well, some of the women I talk to who are Doctor Who fans were well frustrated that they cast a female Doctor. And actually, I was convincing some females to stick with the show and that Jodie and Chris would do something special. Jodie and Chris haven't done anything special. It's all rather disappointing. And we go on to episode 9. This is the penultimate episode, and the 10 seconds we saw of that, again, I didn't see anything there that said, ooh, this looks interesting. I thought that last week with the Witchfinders. I really gave this episode a chance. But again, it's all rather empty. For example, King James is very dismissive of the Doctor. And they did that on purpose to do the sexism thing, right? But very quickly, he starts to warm to her. And he really likes Ryan a lot. But I'm just wondering why he likes Ryan. I mean, is it because Ryan's got a great personality? Does Ryan look like someone who can protect you? Really? So that was rather odd. And apart from the first couple of episodes, we haven't really seen much of Ryan. And they've tried to solve the situation with Yaz, not using her enough. And they tried that this week, and it was kind of good. Listen, you can't blame the actor. You can't blame any of the actors. It's not about the acting. It's about the creative situation that I turn my TV on, I put my films on, I go to the cinema to watch films, to be entertained, to see something fantastic. I deserve that. When I pay my money for something, I deserve to be entertained. You deserve to be entertained. You don't deserve to be lectured. And this is exactly what's going on. This is this culture from the entertainment industry right now. And how far are we going to go with this? How far are we going to drag this damp lemon, which is what Doctor Who is right now? How far do we go until someone in the industry says, enough's enough. This is boring. This is just not Doctor Who in its peak, which was the Russell T Davies era. He's gone. Moffat's gone. We complained enough about him, and there's still issues. That means it's not the creatives. I mean, don't get me wrong, Stephen Moffat, a.k.a. Hal Ben, who can forget that? But ultimately, the BBC do have an agenda, and they decided to use Doctor Who as their test case. How far can we go? How long can this show go? The ratings are solid. They're pretty strong. So it's definitely coming back. It isn't going to be cancelled for now, but I'm just wondering what's going to happen. If season 12 is the empty box, the fresh air that season 11 has been, how long are people going to keep faith with it? I don't know. I've been talking to you about brand loyalty, but how far will my loyalty stretch. The BBC don't care if people like me and in my age group and my gender, we're not their target audience. I get that. I know, BBC, you don't care about me and my brethren, right? I get that. We're not important. We're part of the problem. You want to drive us off the property because we question you. But tonight is another example of nothing. I watched nothing for 45 minutes at the end of the day, as I did last week, as I did the week before, and as I did the week before that. But let me know, Doctor Who fans, what do you think of The Witchfinder, tonight's episode of Doctor Who? Did you enjoy it? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Comment down below. I'm going to read every single comment and try and like them if I can. Share the video, share the channel, press like, and let's get a conversation going. Have a lovely evening.